Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. So hello everyone and welcome to Basics Discussion Circle and Meditation. My name is Travis, I facilitate this group. So I think with tonight we'll just go right into the meditation. I don't have too much on my mind right now to talk about for the meditation. We'll see what comes up during, because things always come up, don't they? This thought and that thought, 1,000 thoughts a minute, and that's okay. This practice of meditation isn't about not thinking. It's about noticing these thoughts arise, noticing them pass away, but not hopping on board, not going along for the ride. So that's what we'll be trying to do tonight. Before we get started, just a word on posture. If you're sitting on a chair, helpful to have your feet flat on the ground, maybe not fully utilizing the backrest. You're more likely to fall asleep if you do. I like to bring my shoulders up and back and then drop them down into a really sturdy posture. You can imagine a string pulling the crown of the head out, straightening the spine out. And that's pretty much it for getting the body in position. Then to get the mind in position, we remind ourselves why we're doing this practice. We remind ourselves, we reaffirm our intention for practicing. Whatever it was that kind of drove us to begin this practice. So oftentimes we can be doing this practice for a while and kind of lose sight of maybe the progress that we've made, or lose sight of why we started practicing, because maybe the reason we started practicing isn't that much trouble anymore due to the practice. So it's good to remind ourselves that that reason that we came to practice, if the intensity of it has decreased, that's due to this practice. If we stop practicing, those issues that brought us to the practice tend to come back up. And slowly but surely get as strong as they were before. So it's important to remind ourselves why we do this practice, why we try to establish consistency in this practice. So as part of meditation posture, you want to get the body in position, but you also want to get the mind, the heart in position, starting with reaffirming that intention of why we practice. So that's about it. And with that, we'll get right into the meditation. I don't have the bell with me today. It's right there. We can practice non-attachment to the sound of a bell starting and ending the meditation. And with that, we'll get started. Closing the eyes and taking 3 deep breaths slowly, all the way down into the stomach. Just noticing what kind of breathing feels best for the body in this moment. Maybe even deeper breathing or more shallow, heavier or lighter. In long, out short. In short, out long. Just taking the next few minutes to experiment. And sensitize yourself to what the body needs in this moment. How the body responds to these different ways of breathing. Once you've found a rhythm and texture of breathing that does feel good, you can start to settle into it. Just maintain it for a while. Not forcefully maintaining it, but just kind of giving the suggestion in the mind to maintain the breath. Breathing in, softening into the breath, and breathing out, settling into the moment. Recognize that the mind has wandered, maybe lost in the past or the future. The past is just a memory. The future is just a fantasy. All that exists is this moment, here and now. Release the distraction. Physically relax your hold on it. Soften the forehead and the shoulders. And return to the breath. And as you maintain this awareness of the breath, see if you can question what kind of perception you hold of the breath. Do you perceive the breath just as air coming in and out of the lungs? What would happen if you held the perception that the breath was the field of sensation throughout the entire body? So as you breathe in and as you breathe out, awareness ripples throughout the body. See if the experience of meditation changes as you hold a different perception of what breath is. As you breathe in, the breath flows not only into the chest and the abdomen, but all the way down the arms and the legs, out to the tips of the fingers and the toes. As you breathe out, the breath awareness expands out to the surface of the skin. Simply continuing this process, occupying the entire body with our awareness, with the breath. As you maintain this breath-focused, embodied awareness, you'll notice little patterns of tension throughout the body. When you do, see if you can just imagine this breath awareness flowing through the tension, breaking it apart, dissolving it away. The breath was here first. The tension came later. Recognize the mind has wandered. Release your grip on the distraction. Relax the forehead and the eyes, the jaw, the shoulders, and return to this embodied awareness, this embodied breath. From the tip of the head all the way down to the soles of the feet. Just passing through the body one last time, seeing if we can pick up any patterns of tension that we may have missed. The forehead, the eyes, the jaw, the shoulders. down the arms, relaxing the hands, down the spine, softening the chest and the stomach. The hips, the knees, the calves, all the way down into the feet. Just consciously softening tension. And just maintaining this softened awareness for several really good deep breaths. And maintaining this embodied awareness, we can slowly begin to open the eyes and stretch if needed. So as always, if you would like to share how that experience of meditation was for you, please do so in the live chat. I'm always interested to hear whether you found it enjoyable, difficult, whatever it brought up. Or if you would like to share, at the beginning of the class, I had mentioned that part of starting a meditation session is you get the body in position and then you get the mind in position. So if you would like to share the intention behind why you meditate, what brought you to meditation, or the intention of why you continue to practice. If you would like to share that, because that's a big part of getting the mind into position. So, yeah. You never know who might resonate with what you have to share. And this was also actually I think the first 40-minute meditation that we've done in a while in this class. I feel like it was a little past due, but it was enjoyable. I know that 40 minutes can seem pretty long for some people. So sorry about that if it was just intolerable. Jeweltron, honestly, just happy to sit with a group, even if I can't see most of you. Yeah, it's kind of that communal intention, that drive to better ourselves, improve ourselves. It's always nice to have the power of the Sangha in the sit. So while you're all typing, what your intention is for meditation, what motivates you to sit, what motivates you to do this practice. I'll share a little bit about what motivates me to do this practice. I've been practicing, I'm bad with dates, but I've been practicing probably a little over 7 years, I believe, maybe 8 years, I'm not totally sure. And one of the main reasons why I meditate, is I can look back and look at kind of my original intention for meditation, the intention that I brought to this practice. That intention was that I was tired of being kind of guided by my anger. It was almost like I was kind of like a bull being pulled by the horns in one direction or the other. Or maybe I was tied to the bull and the bull was going wherever it wants. But I was tired of whenever anger would arise, I would just go with it immediately, because that was my conditioned response to anger arises, act on it. And that ruined a lot of my relationships, a lot of my friendships, because something would happen and I wouldn't be able to handle it. I wouldn't be able to mentally tolerate it, because the anger would arise, and then the anger would want to tear everything down as righteous retribution or whatever story I told myself, right? So the reason I started practicing was I was tired of that. I was tired of basically self-sabotaging all the time. So I started this practice. I may not remember how long I've been practicing, but I do remember the first time I meditated. And the first time I meditated was the first time in my life I want to say I was 18 years old, 18 or 19. Sounds about right. So maybe I've been meditating 10 years. I'm not sure. But the first time that I sat in meditation, it was at the, for those of you who may remember the old location, the old Buddha for You in the college area. The first time I sat in on Jeff's class, and it was the very first time that I had ever felt peace, that I had ever felt at ease, because I was always kind of, for as long as I could remember before that, I was always kind of primed. I was primed for whatever. I was primed to react to whatever came up, and almost always negatively. I was primed to lash out, basically. And I remember thinking, and peace to me was kind of a myth. Like, what even is that? I didn't have a comparison. And then the first time I sat and meditated, I felt at ease, at peace for the first time ever. And it was so different, this absence of that just constant, rarely justified background anger that I had. And to me, that's a big motivating factor for why I practice, is that this practice showed me that peace is possible, that tranquility is possible, and that I don't have to be guided by the horns, chasing this emotion, that emotion. So the reason I practice is now, after somewhere between 7 to 10 years, the reason I practice now is that without the practice, if I stop practicing, I feel incomplete. I feel like a shell or a husk, like a large portion of, I don't want to say who I am, because that gets into like self-identification and stuff like that, but a large portion of how I relate to the world around me isn't present when I stop practicing. When I stopped practicing for whatever reason, because personal issues came up or whatever else, I slowly start to see that backslide. Even though I've been practicing somewhere around 10 years, if you stop practicing, if you stop maintaining your practice, you will slowly backslide. So the reason I continue to practice is because I'm not really a fan of where I was 10 years ago. And I remind myself of that every time I practice. I'm here practicing to better myself. I'm here practicing to not become a husk, just going through the motions. So that's why I practice. It's my intention that I affirm before practice. It's how I get my mind into position. So Cameron shared, grateful to be here with you all. Intentions to let go of the past and settle in the now. Excellent. Exactly. You summed up what I took 10 minutes saying. Absolutely. Sherry shared, I started meditating because of anxiety. It definitely helps. It is still easier to sit on a good day than a bad day. Today is a good day. Well, I'm glad it's a good day. And I also hope that when it's a bad day, you still find some time to sit. When I'm having a bad day, a normal sit for me ranges, depending on how I'm feeling, ranges between 15 minutes to 45 minutes. I've never seen much benefit in doing more than 45 minutes. I'll start to get headaches. But on a bad day, 5 minutes is fine. 5 minutes is more than enough. When the mind's a mess, 5 minutes is better than 0 minutes. That's for sure. One thing, I don't know if anyone else felt it. One thing that I thought was kind of funny is at the beginning I mentioned that that I left the bell right there and then bring it down with me. And And I kind of jokingly mentioned that we'll have to practice non-attachment with the bell starting the session, the meditation session, ending meditation session. And what was interesting is normally it doesn't really bother me that much, or like I'll just jokingly say ding at the end of the meditation or something like that. But during the meditation, I set the intention that I'm not going to try to fill the space that the bell normally has. And what was really interesting to me is, once I gave the instructions to like open the eyes and sat there for a minute, there was this little twinge of anxiety that came up of like, you have to hit the bell. That's what you're supposed to do right now. You have to hit the bell. And it was really interesting to see that like kind of sprout and then not get watered and fall apart. But it was just kind of funny because I haven't actually been bothered by it before. I've always used joking to a sense of humor to like make up for my discomfort with things. And I never really realized that the saying ding at the end when I forget to use the bell actually was that type of coping mechanism. So that was kind of funny to notice. That being said, this practice helps you notice those little sprouts as they arise, those little twinges of anxiety. And if you can notice the twinge of anxiety and kind of soften into it, not feed into it, it doesn't grow out of control. That's a big part of this practice, especially this embodied awareness, this full body awareness, because emotions tend to start in the body as a sensation, as a little sensation of panic, sensation of anxiety. If you've ever had a panic attack or an anxiety attack, you know how that feels. And then through this meditation practice, you can start to sense that same kind of sensation on a much subtler, smaller level. And it's like the seed of anxiety sprouting. When we can notice it when it's at a smaller level, it's a lot easier to deal with. And it's almost fun because we get to watch it and we get to kind of make the conscious decision not to interact with it. And by not interacting with it, just observing it, it doesn't fuel it. It kind of needs either our aversion from it or our grasping onto it for it to feed and grow. So when an uncomfortable sensation arises, if we can just watch it, it doesn't get any nourishment and it fades away. Yeah. And then the opposite for a pleasant sensation, might as well mention that too. We have a pleasant sensation arise. With an unpleasant sensation, if you try to look away from it or grasp, like try to repress it, it grows stronger, grows out of control. With a pleasant sensation, when it arises, if you try to grasp onto it or try to like push it away, it falls apart. And it's only through observing the pleasant sensation, kind of like not attached to it, observing it, that the pleasant sensation can grow. So just something to think about. We are at time though, so we'll close up with a dedication of merit. Thank you all for coming tonight. And there will also be no bell at the end of the dedication of merit, so we'll see how that feels too. If comfortable, please join palms. May any merit gained from this meditation and discussion be dedicated to all those who suffer at this time. May all beings in all directions be free from all stress and pain. May we all be free from all stress and pain. Metta karuna mudita upekkha sahanga teya cetasa chaturisam bharatva viharati samavudaro bhavena sabanamaro bhavena samasangharo bhavena sote hantu nirantaram. Good night all. Enjoy the rest of your week.